Sports Central begin over March Madness game preview and prediction on the Sweet 16 matchup between the UCLA Bruins and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Both teams are playing at a high level right now. Should make for a good matchup in the Sweet 16. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this match preview today, starting out with your team trends. UCLA is 27-7 overall heading into this matchup. Definitely, UCLA, I said this going into the tournament, this is a dangerous team that definitely shows a lot of potential to make a deep run here. And they made it to the Sweet 16. They beat Akron in the first round, St. Mary's in the second round, and UCLA continues to definitely be a threat in this tournament. But this is a very interesting matchup because you got North Carolina on the flip side here, who is playing, I would say, as well as anybody right now. They're 26-9 overall, 15-5 in conference this season, and 2-4 games against the top 25. And if you compare that against UCLA, the Bruins were 15-5 in conference and 4-4 in games against the top 25 this season. Both teams are playing excellent right now. Especially North Carolina, I've been incredibly impressed by them so far this tournament. They beat Marquette by over 30 points, and they just beat the number one seed in the East region, being Baylor, in overtime. So the Tar Heels are playing at a high level right now, and this is a tough matchup for both these teams because the winner of this game has got tremendous potential to potentially win a championship. I definitely think, both these teams are very capable right now of making a run towards the national title game. Just based off of how they look right now. UCLA's got incredible experience, and they're just all around a very talented team. And North Carolina is once again, they're on a hot streak right now. They're playing as well as anybody in the nation. I'd say that's for sure. Games be on Friday, March 25th in Philadelphia. Your tip-off is 9:39 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going to UCLA here by 2.5. So the Bruins are favored in this matchup, but not by much according to the spread. Over-under is 141.5. And your BPI is going Bruins here, 71.6%. So the Bruins are favored by a decent margin, especially in the BPI, but the spread's going pretty close between these two teams. And if you look at the tournament runs, UCLA, of course, beat Akron, who's a 13 seed, 57-53. Kind of a scary game there for UCLA in the first round. Akron, they hung around there for a long time, and the Bruins only scored 57 points in that game, but that was enough to beat the Zips in that game. And their other 32, they beat St. Mary's. That was a much more comfortable game for them. They beat them 72-56. And if you look at Marquette, or if you look at North Carolina, it's just been dominance for them. They beat Marquette 95-63. They beat a 9 seed. That was an 8-9 game, and North Carolina won that game by over 30 points, which is very incredible. And they also beat Baylor 93-86 in an overtime game. That was an incredible matchup between North Carolina and Baylor. Definitely, I would say that's probably the best game of the tournament so far. It was neck and neck the entire way. And, actually, North Carolina did dominate for a long time, and it was tough because Baylor came back, and it looked like the Bears were going to steal that game from North Carolina, but in the end, the Tar Heels did get the win there, and it was close. But it was a huge win for North Carolina. Of course, knocking off a 1 seed is no easy thing to do. Here's your stat comparison. UCLA 76.4 points a game this season, 64.8 allowed, and their BPI rank is 10 versus North Carolina 77.5 points a game and 71.7 allowed. So, both offenses are scoring an average of right around 77 points a game. Yeah, but defensively, UCLA has been the better team statistically this season, and North Carolina in the BPI is 26. Some notable matchups as well. UCLA, of course, did lose to Gonzaga at one point this season by 20. They were 1-2 against Arizona, beat Villanova by 9. They were 2-1 against USC and also beat Marquette. So, overall, UCLA's got some good wins and definitely some impressive games on the resume. Losing to Gonzaga was tough. They beat Arizona once, beat USC twice, and also beat Villanova, which is definitely an impressive win as well. And for the Tar Heels, they're 1-1 against Duke. Of course, had that huge win against Duke in Coach K's last game, his last home game with Duke. So that obviously was the signature win of the regular season. Otherwise, they lost to Kentucky by 29, lost to Tennessee by 17, lost to Purdue by 9. All three of those losses were tough, especially the Kentucky and Tennessee ones. In North Carolina, the inconsistency has been a bit of a story for this team over the course of the season. They can have one just incredible game, and if you look at that Marquette matchup when North Carolina beat them 95-63, they can play like that. Their ceiling is incredibly high, but at the same time, their floor is pretty low. They lost to Kentucky by 29. They've got a couple of bad losses on their schedule, but otherwise, North Carolina, this team has got a very high ceiling, as high as anybody's in this tournament, if you ask me. Talent-wise, and it's tough to predict them because I mean, they can play at an elite level, or they definitely aren't there. I mean, there are some matchups where it's very questionable, but I mean, North Carolina, once again, their ceiling is high, and that's really, I mean, this is a team that's dangerous, I think, going down the stretch, and they have been so far. I mean, they beat Baylor and they destroyed Marquette. So, I mean, yeah, North Carolina is definitely a team to keep an eye on. Some key points: UCLA 27-7 beat Akron and St. Mary's in the first 2 rounds. They've got experience to win a championship, and they've got definitely an advantage with size and depth. They got plenty of depth. They've got several. I mean, they got Jazang, who's an incredible ball player. And, I mean, yeah, UCLA, this team has got tremendous talent, and it's tough. I mean, UCLA, this is a really tough matchup here. It's close as it gets. I mean, you got 2 teams that are super likable in this tournament. And UCLA and North Carolina, I think back in my first bracket prediction, I picked North Carolina to get to the Sweet 16 to beat Baylor. And I had this exact matchup in my first bracket prediction, which was released like on the Sunday after brackets released. And I actually picked North Carolina to win this matchup in the Sweet 16. So, and in a second, we'll see if I change that or not. But, I mean, there's a lot to like here about both these teams. North Carolina, they have had 2 huge wins over Marquette and Baylor. They perform at a very high level under pressure, as shown by, for one, their tournament run so far, and also that Duke win at the end of the regular season. That was huge. And they're playing as well as anybody right now. Definitely, I mean, this team, I mean, they're playing as well as anybody, that's for sure. They just beat Baylor, and I mean, they could rival up with any team remaining in this tournament. But that said, it's a tough one to predict, and let's get to the prediction here for UCLA and North Carolina. I'm sticking with what I said in my first bracket prediction after Selection Sunday. I picked North Carolina to win in the Sweet 16. I'm still going with that. I think the Tar Heels, this is just what I'm feeling. I think North Carolina, the way that they're playing right now, I mean, this tournament, they scored 95 points against Marquette. They've scored 93 against Baylor. I mean, their offense is at a very elite level right now. They're definitely, I'd say, the hottest team in the tournament. I mean, North Carolina, it's tough to pick against UCLA. I mean, UCLA is a team that I could definitely see going very far if they can get past North Carolina here. But, I mean, it's tough. And I'm going to go with North Carolina to get the win here by 2. I'm going 74-72 with the Tar Heels getting the win. So 51% towards the Tar Heels. Your over-under is 141.5. I'm going to take the over for this game. I do think we see a decent amount of scoring here. I wouldn't be surprised if it went over for sure. And I'm taking UNC to cover the 2.5-point spread, which is towards the Bruins right now. So I'm going North Carolina. This is a tough one to predict, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this game. And I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.